This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, coming to you from the X-Zone Broadcast Network's Southern Command Post in beautiful Vero Beach and Fellsmere, Florida. And you know, it's terrific to be back, folks. I look forward to this time of the week, every week, to be able to sit back and discuss with you and our guests my passion, and hopefully your passion too, which is paranormal investigation and research. As you know, we always try on the show to bring you the folks that are out there doing the work, conducting the investigations, conducting the research, collecting the evidence in an effort to prove what we all know, that there is something else out there. Tonight's no exception at all. We're really pleased to have Mr. Gordon Sabol with us. Gordon is with the Savannah Paranormal Investigations and Research Information Team in Savannah, Georgia. Gordon was originally from Seattle, Washington, but before graduating from high school, his family moved to Kentucky, where he graduated in 1990. Right after high school, Gordon served our country in the United States Army and left military service a few years later, moving to Savannah, Georgia. Shortly after that, Gordon moved on to Fort Worth, Texas, where he again served as a law enforcement officer for a number of years, before leaving law enforcement in 1996 to become a full-time private investigator and repossession investigator. In 1996, he also began to investigate the paranormal, and after a number of years of investigating alone, he founded the Savannah Paranormal Investigations and Research Information Team in 2010. Gordon, welcome to the show. Welcome to Paranormal Stakeout.
Thank you, Larry. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. You know, Savannah, that's one of those hot spots that all of us in the paranormal field just feels one of the best spots in the country to be in, and there you are living in it. Give us a little bit about your background. Tell us about who you are and how you got into this field.
Well, I'm just a normal person. I'm nothing exciting. I just, live a normal life, just like all of the rest of the investigators do. But what got me into paranormal investigations, I was kind of watching two different programs, one about schizophrenia and one about ghost hauntings and sorts. And kind of came across, what if these people that are actually hearing voices are being diagnosed incorrectly? And, well, that's where I started out. And unfortunately, most of the psychiatrists and doctors I talked to, they thought I was crazy to even come to them to see if I could talk to any of their patients. And that's when I began out on my own and began investigating.
Did you, how many patients were you actually able to get to speak to?
None.
None, okay. Well, it was a good try.
It was a try. It was the thought. But no, most of them thought I was crazy for even asking. So no, that didn't go too far.
Was there any specific event that sent you into this direction? I know you said you were watching some of the shows, but did you have an event yourself that got you headed in this direction?
Well, I as a child, in the house we lived in up in Kentucky, we would see shadows and whatnot, and and I kind of wondered about it. So while one night I was up finishing some work in Augusta, Georgia, some repossessions, and I decided, what the heck, I'm gonna go sneak into a building, and I did the wrong thing and went and snuck into some private property, abandoned building, and
folks, disclaimer here: do not go to places that you're not invited. It's called trespassing.
Yes, do not do that. I was lucky I didn't get caught by law enforcement, but I did get caught by something else that I wish I had never. But it kind of changed my perspectives on what I was doing, and kind of changed how I was doing things in my first investigation, which was quite interesting.
That was your first. That was actually your first time out, huh?
It was my first time out. All I had was a 3D cell mag light, which would have came in handy if I could have used it, and a mini cassette recorder.
Were you prepared or trained at all to do this, or did you just set out on your own?
I was not trained or prepared. What I did, if people need to, I should have read and studied quite a bit before I walked into what I went into. But even after being a paranormal investigator for this many years, you don't know what you're going to walk into ever. You're never prepared.
That's very true. And we're going to talk a little bit later in the show about some training, your thoughts on training and standardization. So you went into this event, this very first investigation. Was it a physical or was it a spiritual thing that hit you?
Well, let me go through it like this. I don't think it was it was kind of physical and spiritual, and it was. Well, let's put it this way. I'm in a What's that?
Well, before you get started, my friend, and I should have been watching the clock a little bit better. We're just about ready to take our first break. So we're going to be back, ladies and gentlemen, in just a couple seconds. And Gordon, I want you to tell me about what happened that night. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome back, folks. This is Paranormal Stakeout. I'm Larry Lawson, and tonight our guest is Mr. Gordon Sabol from Savannah Paranormal Investigations and Research Information Team. Now, Gordon, just before the break, you started to get into that story that very first night, that very first investigation where you were trespassing, but we won't talk about that. But
yeah, don't do that.
But you ran into something that you were neither trained for or prepared for. Give us the details.
Well, if you can imagine yourself in a small room about a 10 by 10 with only a door to come in, that's what this room looked like. I was sitting on the back directly across from the door. The door was in the center of the room, or not center of the room, but center of the adjacent, or the wall across from me. So I'm sitting there, and I'm asking questions. I got my recorder, I got my flashlights turned off. The room is just pitch black, absolutely zero light coming in. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was like 1:32 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm sitting there, and I hear breathing. And I was like, oh, crud, there's a homeless person in here with me. So I turn on my flashlight, and I'm looking around, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, okay, well, so I'm sitting there, and several minutes go by, and then I hear the breathing again, except it's coming from the first set of breathing was coming from the right side of me, and this time it was from the left. Mm-hmm. And so I turn the light on again. I'm like, okay, something's not, I hear something. And then I was wondering, okay, well, maybe it's wind or something hitting by the door or something. And then next thing I know, I hear some shuffling and some noise in front of me. And so I turn on the light real quick, and there's nothing there. Then I feel the breathing this time, except it's directly on my face. It feels like it couldn't have been more than 4 to 5 inches from my face. It was heavy breathing. It was the most god-awful smell I ever smelt in my life. And now I know what that smell means, which is rotten meat. Okay. So when I turn on the flashlight, I see the image of the worst, most grotesque thing I ever saw up to that point in my life, and yet to have seen now.
What did it look like?
It would be very impossible to explain. It was the most I can tell you. It looked as if horns were coming out of the side of the neck. Excuse me. It was pretty rough. Yeah, I hit the mic. It was bad. It was. Okay. It was one of the worst things. That's about all I could tell you. And okay. When after that, I don't remember anything else. But okay. I continued on from there as an investigator.
Well, what happened after you saw the figure? What happened next? You blacked out?
No, I got up and left.
Okay.
It took a while for me to go back into it, and that's when I started studying and reading up on everything possible. But to explain exactly what this thing looked like, it would be entirely impossible. You can imagine the most grotesque thing you've ever seen in your life. This would be it.
Okay. So you took off out of that building. How long did it take you before you got back into business?
I started reading a lot of the Bible, a little as far as the paranormal goes, as far as demonics go, and then I went into reading articles and studying for probably about a year and a half before I went and did another investigation. That way I was better mentally understanding of what was going on. And then I continued to study for several years, even while doing small investigations, going into a graveyard here and there, or not really getting into it real heavy as far as going to people's homes and stuff like that. That wasn't done until about 2010.
Okay, now you say you did a lot of studying, so I'm assuming it was mostly self-study?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It was all self-study. A lot of articles, a lot of literature, and a lot of library time.
Did you consult with anybody? Did you meet with anybody? Talk with any other investigators during this time?
No, I didn't talk with any investigators. I started talking to some. I started going more towards talking to priests and trying to understand exactly what it was that I saw and what it was that I talked to, or not necessarily talked to, but that confronted me. But so I started talking with priests a little more, and then talking with preachers and different churches and stuff like that, and trying to get a better understanding of what I was really looking at and what I was really going into. And that's when I decided to take a different approach. Okay, well,
a year and a half of study, that's quite a bit more time than often we see other folks in the field take. What did your study, what did your research show you?
Most of the stuff I looked at it's where we're at now as far as a team. What we do, I go more towards what I strongly feel or believe is that most of the anomalies we confront, as far as, when we die, our souls and our spirits separate.
Mm-hmm.
Our spirit, my understanding from what my studies is our emotions, our happiness, our sadness, and our soul. When they separate, our spirit, of course, our happiness, our energy of that stays here, and our soul goes to heaven or hell. So what would we be communicating with that can communicate intelligently, I believe, is not a spirit. I mean, if our emotions can talk back to somebody, it would be almost impossible.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this vision of what you're seeing now. So you're saying that we die, our spirit is basically our energy. Would that be okay? And our soul is what goes back to heaven, and our energy is what stays. So our energy would be more along the lines of a residual type haunt, where we would see it like stuck in a repeating itself all the time. Is that?
No, I would say our spirit. It's your emotions. I mean, your emotions don't go anywhere. I mean, you don't hear them. Your happiness and your sadness. That's part of what I believe our spirit is. And if our spirit, when our soul leaves, our spirit is a memory. In other words, so when I believe we're out talking to things or communicating, I don't believe we're out communicating with a spirit. I believe we're out communicating with something that can speak to us intelligently. From the opinion of Gordon, is we're talking to demonics. We're talking to something that is evil, something that is going to try to make you feel comfortable to where it can get and dwell into your life and cause more harm than good. Okay,
and there's a lot of folks that feel that way, and I actually have heard that theory about the soul and the spirit separating. Some of the theories I've heard, however, is you're familiar with the term residual haunt, I assume, correct?
Right. Yes.
That's what we're seeing in the residual haunts, are those energies or emotions that have been captured in some sort of medium, such as wood, granite, or something like that, and it replays itself, just like a quartz watch almost. It just keeps going and going.
Right.
Whereas that soul heads up back home, and that's an interesting theory, and I find some reality in that, I guess. So you're saying that we are then dealing strictly with demonic spirits.
Yes.
As far as when we hunt ghosts.
Well, yeah. If we're, the way we're set up with Savannah Paranormal is we got, that's the way I believe. That doesn't mean my whole team believes that way. We are diverse. We believe differently as far as how it is. I do have team members that believe there's good and bad spirits, but they also understand that there's evil and possible demonic. They don't believe strictly like I do. So that's why when we go to investigations, people think we're nuts. I'll get we do live stream some of our investigations, and people think we're rude or I'm hateful. These spirits got emotions and they've got feelings. I'm like, wait a minute, I want evidence. I'm gonna push stuff, and yes, provoking is dangerous, but I'm gonna push it to where I get physical contact evidence. Pick me up, throw me down on the ground, scratch me, hit me, do what you need to do, because I want that physical evidence. That
So you're actually looking for physical contact with these beings. I got to ask you this question. Your theory, your opinion is that the only things that we deal with, the only entities we deal with, are evil. Why would you want to provoke them? What are you trying to gain by doing that?
More truth. I mean, if we're going out and asking, can you knock on the wall, or can you finish the, this knock, or can you say these words? Can you say my name? You're not going to realize if what you're dealing with is is something of a higher evil being, I guess you could say, higher spiritual power. You're not going to know that. And then you continue to go back, and continue to go back. Eventually, if it's finally going to say, okay, I've got you where I need you, you're confident and comfortable with me, I'm ready to take you now, or follow you home, or do something to you, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Demonics are out to get our souls. They're out to devour our souls. So,
and that is the religious standpoint, and certainly one of the things that we do worry about in the paranormal investigation research field. Regardless of exactly how you feel, I think most of us have that concern. But I got to ask you, why do it? If you know that you're dealing with demons, why do you want to provoke them to get them to come at you and to harm you in any way? Aren't you setting yourself up for something you can't control later?
Yes, I am. But there are too many daggum people out there that are messing with this stuff, that have no idea what they're getting into or understand the slightest bit of what they're doing, and they think going in a building and saying, hey, is there anybody dead, no longer living here, that would like to communicate? And before you know it, they're messing around. They've done, playing with you can use an SB7 ghost box. It's the same as it's an electronic Ouija board. All you got to do is do the wrong stuff, and before you know it, you've got the wrong thing there, and by God, you're hurting yourself and other people.
I hear you. Well, we're getting ready to take our next break here, Gordon. But when we get back, I want to explore this a little bit further with you, because I want to get a clearer understanding of why you want to provoke and put yourself in that spot, and how you think that is going to help others. So, folks, stay with us. This is a great conversation. It's going to get more interesting as we go on. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes after this break.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Stakeout. Our guest tonight, Gordon Sabol of Savannah Paranormal Investigations and Research Information Team. Gordon, heavy conversation, and I want to continue this on here. And I understand exactly what you're saying, what your concerns are. What I want to try and get clear in my mind is, what's out there. You have your philosophy and what it is you're dealing with, and I don't disagree with you. But why is you provoking and bringing harm to yourself? How do you think that's going to help the field or help others? What's your thinking there?
Well, if I understand, and I have, what's going, I understand where I'm going and with what I'm doing, and I know the consequences. Mm-hmm. But I also got some really good people, I hope, that are in very high power with somebody else that can save me if I need it. But I understand that people, if they don't really understand what they're getting into, if they could watch all the TV shows they want, they're never going to really truly understand what this field's about. And they're not going to understand that there's more to this than than just getting a knock on the door or a knock on the wall or something to say something. There's a lot of dangerous stuff out there, and my view and my understanding is that there's got to be somebody to do the stupid thing to get others, and don't look at me like that, and more people.
You're putting yourself in harm's way is my point.
It's better for one person to be put in harm's way than millions of others that could possibly be harmed.
And I get that. I get that. I guess I'm trying to reconcile myself. For example, if you were to teach people that are involved, and I'm hoping we can get into some standardization and training issues tonight. But let's say you were able to train people to avoid this. Wouldn't that be more beneficial than putting yourself in harm's way? And that's what I'm trying to get at. How many times do you have to get bit before it helps? And I'm not trying to downplay what you're doing. I'm just concerned why you're doing it to yourself.
Well, how in the world? If you came to me and you said, "Well, going out here is dangerous. What's dangerous about it? Can you show me what's dangerous? Let's have some video footage or something that really truly shows that how dangerous this actually is." You know, how many times has somebody got to play with fire before they actually get burned?
My point exactly.
You know, and I understand that. But me, I know there's that risk every time I go. John Doe down the street, paranormal investigator, might go out every weekend, but goes out and with some buddies and some friends, has no clue.
I agree.
He has no idea. If there's people out, or if there's somebody out there that's, you know, pushing it and showing it, eventually somebody's going to say, look, you know, this guy's nuts. He's getting his butt kicked all the time. He's getting scratched and hit and marked up every time he goes somewhere. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
Okay, then why not take the tact of nobody should be doing this then? If take me, for example, I can only speak for me. My goal, my vision is to find the answers. That's the detective in me. I've been a cop all my adult life, and that's where I'm at. I want to find the answers. To me, the answers is what happens after we leave. Now, in your philosophy, which I find a lot of credibility in, if we're dealing with demons and that's it, then why not just not deal with it at all? What are we going to get out of it is my point.
You know, I'm there's a, not just the fact that there's demons. I mean, there are, you know, to me, yes, there's demons. You know, I do push them. Maybe they are just, you know, it's like one of my team members tried to tell me. He said, look, if you keep pushing it, it's gonna bite you. You know, but the thing is I don't really believe that any of them are good. People, okay. You know, you know, if it's good, it's not going to be around us. It's going to be gone off. You know, I'm trying to think of the book I was reading that explains how most demonics appear as children, and try to get your to where, you know, because what's more lovable than a child? And then you got a child spirit that's actually a demonic, and you give way to it, and you're, you know, before you know it, it's you're commenting to people that, oh, it cleans my house and does my dishes and, you know, makes my bed for me.
Oh, I'd like to find one of those. Okay.
Oh, believe you me, I've had it. I've already heard it. So, but you know, yes.
I go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just me personally. I like to make sure people see truthfully what this is we're dealing with. If it's not a demonic, and it's just something that's, pure evil, and it just, being nice on occasion, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in like me, the crazy idiot, and starts pushing it, and then finally it starts lashing out, and I'm the only one that's ever lashed out at, so be it. But there is no good in spiritual beings, if you will. To me, they're evil to straight demonic.
Okay.
But my team argues with me all the time about it.
Well, that's the nice thing about this field. It's great that we can have different opinions, and I wish, frankly, the world would be allowed to let everybody have their own opinions and not get ticked off because somebody doesn't agree with them. And
Right.
That's what I like about what we're talking about here. I don't know that I totally agree with you, but certainly your point of view, you could be right. I mean, in this field, we don't really know, do we?
Right.
Nobody, and that's why we investigate. But let's move off this subject for a second here, because we could spend the next 3 hours talking just about that. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your neck of the woods. You have a special spot there in Savannah that you kind of work with the folks there. Some historical building that you help keep going with your work. Why don't you tell us about it?
The Sorrel Wheat House. Well, it's quite an active home. I do push a little bit there, but I can't push too much because they got tours and all kinds of stuff that come through, people that come through there, so I can't do too much there as far as, but it's a very interesting place. I'm not sure where you would like me to go with that. What sort of activity do you have in the house? And you say they have tours. Do you do actual paranormal tours there? No, we do we do every Friday, Saturday night, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights we do what's called a paranormal experience, where people are allowed to come in for 2 hours, or 2.5 hours, excuse me, and investigate the home. We teach them how to use some of the little bling bling equipment, and show them what it can be done, what it's used for, and then the theories behind it, and then show them and tell them a little bit about the family that lived there, and then set them on their own. And then I walk out and leave them.
Now, I've heard of the Sorrel Wheat House. What makes that house both historically significant and paranormally significant?
Historically, it's one of the it was a Kluske designed and built home in the 1800s for Francis and Matilda Sorrel. Mm-hmm. It was a gift from Francis Matilda to Matilda, his second wife, in 1834. And Francis, they had Haitian slaves, and Matilda had her own personal slave named Molly. Her English given name, and then Francis, in March 27th, 1860, Francis was found by Matilda sleeping with Molly in the slave quarters, and she committed suicide, and then Molly, a few weeks later, was found hanging in her room. Then, just from over the years, you also have the siege of Savannah that took place right there at the Madison Square, directly in front of the house, one of the bloodiest battles during the Revolutionary War, where there was a British officer barracks that was sitting there that had 12 British officers that were located in the building when the French and the Americans knocked the barracks down. So you've got a lot of shadow figures from that. And then you've got the crying and screaming and different things that happened there. And then you also had Frank Sorrel, one of the sons of Francis, who had a surgery in the basement. And he used Frank Sorrel. Anybody that was in the medical field will know that he is the one that came up with the tourniquet in 1800.
I did not know that.
Yeah. He actually experimented with it down there in the basement. And, of course, there's a lot of deaths and come along with experiments, but he also had a lot of regular patients. He had some yellow fever patients that died down there. There's particularly supposed to be what communicates to us that she's died of the yellow fever, or she said the devil's disease is what was said on the ghost box. But she likes to play games and hides under furniture in the house, and then when you come by, she'll grab your ankles, or if you're sitting on one of the chairs. And I've had her do that to several people, and she's scared them so bad. One of them took out some furniture on their run out of the house. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of movement, a lot of noise, a lot of talking, some just different things that happen. But very interesting.
Do you do this work at the house, obviously to show folks that the level of paranormal activity, certainly help them understand it. I definitely get that about your tours too. But does your work help in the preservation of that historical building?
Yes, it does. It helps immensely. Everything that's made goes right back into the house. Mm-hmm. The house is owned in a trust, so there is everything was donated as a museum. So everything that's made from the tours that the Sorrel Weed House does and the paranormal experience that they do, and the all-night investigation process that we sponsor every other month, all the funds that are made by the Sorrel Weed House goes back into the Sorrel Weed House. So it's a lot of work that's been done.
And a lot of folks don't realize that about those of us that do paranormal research and investigation. Most of us are history fanatics, and one of our biggest goals is to preserve that history. And that's a message I think we need to get out also. Listen, we're about ready to take our last break. Got a bunch more questions to ask. I'm not going to get through them all tonight, but stay with us, folks. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes after this last break. Great conversation. Come back and hear Gordon Sabol.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Stakeout. My guest tonight, Gordon Sabol. Terrific conversation. I would invite all of you to check out Gordon's website, savannahparanormal.org. To find out all the things that are going on at the Sorrel Weed House and all the other exciting things going on in Savannah. I'd also like to invite all of you to go to www.xzbn.net and check out the terrific programming on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, all the great shows on it, including Paranormal Stakeout. So get on there and check out the great shows on the network. Gordon, these last few minutes, I mean, I've probably got 2 or 3 more hours. We could sit and do this all night, but we are running out of time. Tell me real quick, your scariest moment? Was it that very first investigation, or did you have something that affected you a little bit more?
I've had several instances where they're been pretty scary. As far as it affected me more, probably the first one was probably the worst as far as setting the tone of which way to go with the paranormal investigations. I don't know if that must have been the wake up call, though, as far as where my life and personally goes. So that's the way I've taken it, and that's the way I plan on going.
What's your favorite destination? Where was your best investigation?
Best investigation. I've actually got about 2 or 3 of those vacant locations. I've got Colebrook Plantation, which is a really, really wild place. Yes, we've been beaten up several times there. We've had stuff, literally, you could see the anomalies running at you, which is, scary, but it is really cool to see a full-figured shadow come running at you, then hear it blow past you. You have to come there.
Yeah.
One location that's been closed down that has been purchased by a builder was the meat processing center, off of Packing House Road up in Statesboro, Georgia. It's a location called the Packing House. We did a lot of testing there, equipment testing. We've done behavioral testing there to understand a little bit about behaviors when we first began as a team, just to understand what they do to us and what we do to them as far as the behaviors go. It was really interesting study that we did, and a lot of good research came out of it, and noticed a lot of different things there. Unfortunately, when the bank sold the property, we weren't allowed to go back there because they're turning it into an apartment complex.
Oh, great.
But I'm sure I'll be back at some point in time.
You brought up that's really fascinating, the behavioral research that you did. That's the type of direction I like to go in. What do you do with your evidence? You collect this data, you collect this research. How do you collect it? How do you preserve it?
As far as our collection process goes, we use digital recording, DVR systems with cameras, and then handheld cameras. What we do after collection is once the fun, after the fun is started, or after the fun is finished, you have to start working on everything that you've captured. Every piece of evidence that you capture times whatever hours. If you got 8 cameras times 8 hours, that's a lot of stuff. But we do back everything up on disk. I back it up on disk. I back it up on thumb drives. That way, I have everything kept and to where there's no possibility that I'll lose it.
Okay.
There's a lot of new stuff coming out here that you could do clouds and different things like that, but I haven't gotten into all that yet.
Well, going back to both of our backgrounds in law enforcement, obviously we collect a piece of evidence and we take it to the evidence room, and the evidence room is secured. Nobody can get in it, obviously, for court purposes. Do you see the need for us to do that with our paranormal evidence in order to prove that it's never been tampered with, changed, or anything like that?
Yeah, but they're haters are going to hate.
They hate cops.
Well, as far as paranormal goes, non-believers aren't going to believe. We're not going to convince the world that there's this after death or that after death. People are going to believe what they want to believe. Is if I've got a perfect anomaly with that partial manifestation on video. I took it directly off the DVR, put it right on YouTube, and I still have people saying we faked it and did this. I'm like, I know what I did. And I know what I
get what you're saying.
But I mean, we could put it in a secure vault and put it with directly, or take the equipment, put it in a secure vault, and it'd be good.
Yeah, and
then somebody's going to say something's wrong with it.
I get that. It's a direction I want to go, and it comes up with my next question here. What are your thoughts on standardization and training in the field of paranormal investigation research? And what I mean by that is a lot of us have, I don't know, just say a K2 meter, and we all use it, but we may use it differently. We may conduct, and everybody's got their own styles, but I'm talking about creating a standardization of evidence collection. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, but as far as a true professional field, you would have to have something like that, yes. But being that there is no physical professional job for this, it would be hard to get people to go along those lines. It's like Paranormal Unity several years back. Everybody was pushing Paranormal Unity, and it never goes anywhere because you've always got that one or two or several that are like, no, I don't want to do that, and try to get a standardization. That's going to be almost impossible because we've got the people in Hollywood who believe this is how you should do it, and that's what happens.
So should we just give up because it's a little tough?
No, or because if that was the case, I'd given up on this a long time ago.
Agreed, and I understand that. What I'm getting at is if it was easy, anybody could do it, and that's
right.
And that's why I'm just really on this. I have a vision in the field of making it more professional. And I think it can be done. Heck, you as well as I remember, they used to think of us in law enforcement as just blue collar.
Right.
It's not that way anymore. I mean, college education is everything. That's improved. I think this field can improve, and we need to work together. And I know you are, but we need to all work together to meet that goal. And we're never going to get rid of the egos and the folks that have their own way. And I understand what you're saying, but that's just a big bugaboo of mine.
We'll have to see what happens with that.
Quick question for you. I want to get back to this. I got a little off topic for a second. I do want to know, what do you do to protect yourself? This is a question that comes up often, especially on my tours and stuff. People want to know, what do we do to protect ourselves? What does Gordon Sabol do?
Our team, we pray. We pray, and we all pray, but not the entire team believes the same. So they do what it is they want to do. If they believe in gathering of light or power or crystals or sage, they do what they believe in, and that's what protects them. Since because we are, not everybody believes the same, and everybody believes that they can do different things to protect themselves. But we all try to do and what each other likes to be done, and we do that.
Okay. Do you have anybody in your group that are Wiccans?
No.
Okay. Have you seen any groups, or have you dealt with any groups that had more of a paganistic type of religious belief?
No, I haven't. No, I would like. I'm interested in seeing how their investigations go, but no, I have not.
Okay. Where do you see? This is probably going to be our final question, my friend, but just to get your thoughts on, where do you see the field of paranormal research and investigation going? Do you see it just staying stagnant, never changing? Do you see it moving on? If you do see it growing, how?
I actually see it actually dropping off, and it has been dropping off some. The excitement has kind of worn down. So it's probably going to do a drop, and then it's going to go stagnant. It's like the bell bottoms; they'll eventually come back.
I still wear bell bottoms, not
but eventually it'll pick back up. But it's just it hit a fad, and then it slowed down, and unfortunately, I started, and I'm sure you started before the fad started, and we're still around. So there's going to be people in and out, and we're still going to be here, I'm sure. Well,
see, I think that's where it's going to be actually more helpful, because if the fad goes away, then the true investigators, researchers will stay in it and maybe find the answers. Gordon, we're just about out of time, my dear friend. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I actually have about 15 more things I wanted to go over with you, so we may have to get together again if you've got time to join me. But I really appreciate you being here with us tonight, and I want to encourage everybody, if you're up in Savannah, the Sorrel Weed House, go see our friends at Savannah Paranormal Investigations and Research. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this ends our show tonight, but I'm really happy that you've joined us. Look forward to being back with you again next week. We'll have another exciting guest. So take care of yourselves, have a great week, and we'll see you on the other side.